So Snorlax in Pokemon Sword and Shield is a really bulky Pokemon with some good attack. 160 health is a lot, with 110 special defense, so he can take special hits really well. With 110 attack is also really good, but Snorlax has low defense, 65 defense, 65 special attack, and it's low speed. All three of those are low, but with such high health, the defense isn't that much of a liability as long as you're not getting hit with like a super strong physical fighting move. But his abilities are immunity, thick fat, and gluttony. I think gluttony is his best ability, especially being bulky. Gluttony's really good. Bulky with a lot of health, gluttony's really good. Thick fat's also a really good ability. Like a good ability if you can predict a fire or ice move, to switch him in and you'll just eat that hit up with so much health, especially a special move, special fire or ice type move, he'll soak that up like it's nothing. And immunity is really good for a tank because you can't be poisoned. So toxic and things like that. Pretty much if you're trying to be a bulky, you're trying to be really tanky, that could be really good so you can't get poisoned. But being a pure normal type, his only weakness is fighting, which is pretty good. I mean, it's pretty, you're immune to ghost, but you're weak to fighting, so it's like pretty good. Pretty much 90% of the game is going to hit you neutral. But if you have thick fat, then fire and ice pretty much become a resisted hit. But other than that, you don't have any resistances, so you don't really have to worry about anything. But one way to run Snorlax is just to take advantage of the bulkiness with stockpile. With stockpile recycle, pretty much you stockpile maybe once or twice. A guava berry kicks in and gives you a 30 your health back. Well, once that, you can stockpile again and then recycle, instantly eat the guava berry, and then you can recycle again. However many times you want to do it, do you get to a comfortable spot. Pretty much though with this, you want to stockpile 3 times, and then body press will do a ton of damage, and then you body press and crunch. Body press uses your defense instead of attack, so you have a +3 defense at that point. And crunch is just really good coverage against ghost types. You could also drop body press for something like seismic toss. Seismic toss for the guaranteed 100 base power, or the 100, or I don't know. I would run body press actually, because seismic toss and battle spot and stuff, we only do 50 damage, so I would run body press. But crunch pretty much to cover the ghost immunity to fighting. So I wouldn't run like body press or anything with this, or body slam, because if they switch in a ghost type, you're in trouble. You could also drop crunch for, I would run actually Darkest Lariat instead of crunch, especially if they're trying to build up their bulkiness too. Darkest Lariat, it's a really good move. It's pretty much, for Snorlax, Darkest Lariat is better than crunch in every way because it does more damage and the defense drop isn't really going to mean much. Ignoring the enemy's thing, stats is way better. But a Gigantamax Snorlax, the way to run him is pretty much Steamroller, Gunk Shot, Superpower, and Stab, Double Edge. You can drop probably Steamroller or Gunk Shot. You can drop for something like an Outrage if you want the Dragon. I wouldn't really run Heat Crash, but like Earthquake, you can run Earthquake, something like that. Wild Charge, maybe Darkest Lariat, something like that. If you want to get rid of these two, I would say these two are the moves you would get rid of, Steamroller or Gunk Shot. Especially Gunk Shot, because Gunk Shot raises your special defense, or raises your special attack. Actually, yeah, I would get rid of Gunk Shot for something like an Earthquake, because it raises your special attack, which is not really going to help you very much, and it has the same Dynamax thing that fighting moves has, because they raise your attack stat, they do less damage. At least that's why I figured, that they do less damage because they raise your attack stat. But pretty much 3 offensive moves and then a stab move. So this becomes max, I think it's G-Max Refresh or something like that, something along those lines, which pretty much gives you your berry back. So with Gluttony and Guave, you can run any of the berries too. It doesn't have to be a Guave berry. Any of the berries, as long as it isn't the berry that lowers speed or special attack. As long as it's not the berry that does nothing, that confuses you if you have the nature. But pretty much you attack, you're a bulky attacker. Pretty much you take attack, you attack, you hit. You're gonna get hit first because you're slow, unless there's a Trick Room, which is also really good to have with him. But pretty much you get hit. You get hit maybe twice, I would say, before the Guava Berry has to kick in, unless they're using Dynamax moves. But you attack, they hit you, you attack, they hit you, you KO them. A Guava Berry activates. You use Max Refresh or G Max Refresh, whatever it's called. You get the Guava Berry back, and then you just do damage. Like, it's just pretty much a built-in refresh that does damage. Also, you're not losing much, because I think normal G-Max moves or normal Dynamax moves lower speed, which doesn't really affect Snorlax that much at all anyway. but it's G Max Snorlax. And then you can run, this is a physical or a specially defensive Snorlax, max health, max attack. You can run Adamant or Sassy, just depending on what you want. But for this, I like Sassy because it raises your special defense. Plus, you get the Assault Vest kicking in to raise it even more. And you have all offensive moves, Darkest Lariat, Earthquake, Body Slam. I like Hammer Arm in that last spot because you're lowering your speed anyway. So it doesn't really matter. Like, you're already super slow, so it doesn't matter that you're lowering your speed. I like Darkest Lariat for the ghost coverage with Body Slam. Earthquake's just a really good move. But again, you can run whatever you want instead of Earthquake and Hammer Arm, really. You can run whatever you want, whether it's a Gunk Shot or I wouldn't use Heat Crash or Heavy Slam because they would have to be really light for those to do a ton of damage. But you also have like an I wouldn't recommend Outrage too because you're slow. So if they switch in a Fairy type or something and resist the Outrage, you're in trouble. Iron Head's a decent move. Ice Punch. Any of the punches are really good. Snorlax actually learns Seed Bomb, which is it's a good coverage move. Rock Slide's an option. But I would stay away from like Superpower and like Steel Roller, high risk. Superpower especially because it lowers your attack and defense. But Wild Charge, but it has recoil. I wouldn't use Wild Charge any move with recoil on this set. Then Headbutt's a good option, but pretty much you come in, especially on Special Attacker, Fire and Ice, you can take out something that's Stab, like a Chandelier or something like that. Not Polteageist, but something that's Fire and Ice typing. You can switch it out and it can't use Stab pretty much. It's resistance now, and especially if they're special, you're not going to take any damage from it. So as long as they don't have like Side Shock or something, you can switch it on the Special Attacker and be fine. But this is more of a defensive, offensive Snorlax. Pretty much Curse raises your attack and defense. It lowers your speed, which doesn't matter because you're so slow. Body Slam, Darkest Lariat, and then either Recycle or you can run something like an Earthquake. You can run another offensive move, Earthquake, Hammer Arm, Gunk Shot, whatever in that last spot. But I like the Guava Gluttony combo because it gives you 33% of your health when you drop below 50. And pretty much max defense, special defense with the nature, so you're getting some special bulk. So if they can't just switch in a special attack and do damage. But pretty much the plan is Curse, you set up some curses, you get your defense up, Body Slam, Darkest Lariat, because you're also raising your attack too with the Curse. You could run Body Press and something like this because your attack and defense would be pretty close. But after like 3 or 4, after like maybe like 2 curses, the attack difference starts getting really high. Their attack gets way higher than your defense, so I would run Hammer Arm versus Body Press and something like this. But pretty much you just get real bulky, you've recycled to get your Guava Berry back, and that's pretty much what you do. I would also be careful though of like Toxic, which isn't a TM anymore, so it's not as common. But a Toxic or a Toxapex with Baneful Bunker, or a Toxapex in general, because most of them will have Baneful Bunker. And just be careful of that because you don't have immunity on most of these, and I wouldn't really run. Maybe on this one you can run immunity, but I wouldn't really. Since you're relying on the Gluttony Berry combo, I wouldn't really run the I wouldn't run immunity because you're running the risk. Like I like Gluttony better than immunity because it's like, oh, what are the chances of you getting poisoned? You can avoid it most of the time unless you use like Toxic Spikes or something. But another way, this is more of a doubles Snorlax, but it can work. This is more of a double Snorlax or a Trick Room Snorlax, a little bit of both really. Pretty much, if you can get Trick Room in singles, it works really well too. But what you want to do is get doubles Trick Room, and pretty much doubles Trick Room with either a Rangaroo would be really good with this with telepathy. He'd be really good with this because he won't get hurt from the Earthquake. But pretty much, you Belly Drum. You take whatever hits you take from that turn. A Guava Berry will kick in, whatever. But you Belly Drum. After taking those hits, a Guava should kick in. So you should be up 50% health unless they focus the Snorlax. But Belly Drum, the Guava kicks in. You'll probably use your Guava Berry, but Belly Drum, you get your max attack, 50% health. And if they don't hit you, you'll get the Guava Berry anyway for free. Yeah, you'll get it for free. Just make sure with Belly Drum though that you're running an even amount of hit points, because if you run an odd, I think it'll put you up, so you will technically not get the Gluttony boost. You'll be above half health by like a point. But pretty much Belly Drum, you get max attack, and then you just sweep either with Earthquake, Rock Slide, or Body Slam. Plus you get an Instruct with an Rangaroo or something. And if he has telepathy, he's immune to Earthquake because that's how it works. Rock Slide does double the damage, double the chance to flinch. Same with Body Slam. if they survive the body slam or whatever, you instruct, you hit them again, or you knock out one with a body slam. They instruct. You instruct your Snorlax. He hits the other one. Oh, let's say they live, they get paralyzed. Or with Rock Slide, you can go for the chance of the double flinch. With the double instruct, Earthquake just damage. So that's the things you can do with the Snorlax. You can also drop one of these moves for Protect if you want to. Protect's always an option in doubles, but I would keep them just because the double chance from Rock Slide is really good. Earthquake's a really good move, and Body Slam just stab with a lot of damage. It sucks that there's no return anymore, because return would be really good. And it kind of sucks there's no return, because the return was like 100 base power or something like that. I'm crazy, but some of the other moves he learns, again, Heat Crash and the Steel Heavy Slam. You got to go against somebody real light to get that boost. Iron Head, decent Steel move, because what is it? Steel Roller has no effect on terrain, so Iron Head's just a good Steel type move that you can actually use all the time. Seed Bomb's an option. Yawn's also an option for a tankier Snorlax. You take a hit, you yawn, then you could either predict the switch or something like that. You could play around it, Protect. They're asleep or something like that to make Yawn really useful. Yawn's a really good move, especially when a tanky Pokemon that can heal itself, like Umbreon or something like that. Yawn's really good. But you also like Yawn Recycle, and then 2 offensive moves with the Gluttony Guave or something like that. So you'll gain health, but you'll yawn them. So they either have to attack you or switch out, and they can't 2-shot you most of the time. So you can yawn, they switch out, you recycle, you get your berry back after taking or whatever. So you kind of put them in a bad situation. But some of the other moves he learns, Brick Breaks, Destroy Screens. You can bring him in as a counter because he has so much health too. Counter is actually a really good option because especially if you max invest 524. Let's say you come in, they hit you with a physical move, and you counter and their attack does half your health. You're gonna do 524 back straight damage to whatever that is. It's getting KO'd. Like, because he has such a bulky health pool. Let's say they do 40% damage, or you have a Gluttony Guave Berry that you come in, they do 60% of your health. Whatever hit you is KO'd with counter. They bring in something else. With your Guave Berry, you have somewhere around 70 health, 80 health, somewhere around there. They hit you, you survive, you counter, you KO them again. So you can do counter with Snorlax because he has so much health. That counter is really good. I wouldn't recommend Double Edge because recoil. But that's how you use Snorlax in Pokemon Sword and Shield. So I hope you enjoy it.